Imagine being denied a seat you paid for, humiliated in front of a packed terminal all because of the color of your skin. Now imagine that same nobody woman making one phone call, and 5 minutes later, the entire flight crew is gone. What started as discrimination turned into national headlines and a lesson no one would forget. If you believe in justice, strength, and unstoppable women rising against the odds, then buckle up and hit that subscribe button, because this is the story they never wanted you to. It started like any ordinary day for Kennedy Marshall, a commanding black woman in her mid-40s, dressed sharp in a navy pinstripe blazer, heels clicking against the glossy floor of JFK Airport as she approached Gate 42 with her boarding pass in hand and her signature leather briefcase in tow. Kennedy was no stranger to flights. She practically lived in the air thanks to her multi-million-dollar tech firm, Marshall Data Systems, which she built from the ground up. She was flying to a tech conference in London where she was scheduled as keynote speaker and had, as always, booked a fully paid first-class seat with concierge privileges. But as she arrived at the gate and offered a polite smile to the Delta Air check-in agent, a young blonde woman named Tracy gave her a brief once-over and then a smirk that made Kennedy's stomach tighten. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask." "You to wait over there," Tracy said dismissively, not even scanning her ticket. "First class is reserved for premier clientele." Kennedy blinked. "Excuse me, I am a premier client." "That's my seat one." But Tracy turned and whispered something to her coworker before waving forward a white man in khakis and a golf polo. "Mr. Brandt, welcome aboard. First class is ready for you." She beamed, accepting his ticket, the same seat number Kennedy held. Kennedy stepped forward again. "That's my seat," she said calmly but firmly, presenting her ticket. "I paid for it, confirmed it, and even checked in online." Tracy narrowed her eyes and said loudly enough for others to hear, "Ma'am, if you don't calm down, I'll have to call security." Several nearby passengers turned to look. A couple took out their phones. Kennedy swallowed hard. She was used to microaggressions, but this was blatant, public, and humiliating. A young black boy clutching his mother's hand looked up at her with wide, confused eyes. She felt heat in her cheeks. Her fingers tightened around the handle of her briefcase. But she didn't scream. She didn't lash out. Instead, she stepped aside, pulled out her phone, and made a single call. "Hi, Rachel. We have a situation. JFK. Gate 42. I need the Delta Air Regional Director and Internal Ethics Compliance now. Also, notify FAA and Media Relations. Time-stamp this call. 5 minutes. Rachel Hercule didn't hesitate. "Got it, boss?" Kennedy ended the call and stood calmly by the gate wall, waiting as the whispers began to grow louder, and Tracy giggled with a fellow gate agent by minute 2. A uniformed operations supervisor emerged from a side hallway, flanked by 2 men in black suits, legal compliance officers who had been rushed from the executive lounge. Tracy's expression twisted in confusion as the men approached her. "Tracy Velman," one asked flatly. "You're 2 steps away from the gate and surrender your badge immediately." "Wait, what?" she gasped, her face draining of color. "What's going on?" I didn't do anything wrong. We have live video footage of you denying a paid customer boarding, assigning her seat to a non-priority passenger, and then attempting to escalate the situation using false authority," the officer said. "That violates federal law, internal non-discrimination policy, and you've put this airline in breach of contract." But she didn't look like a first-class passenger. Tracy blurted out, realizing too late that she'd said it aloud. The crowd around the gate gasped. Someone shouted, "Oh, hell no," and another recorded. Kennedy remained still, arms crossed, face unreadable. "Let's continue this in private," the officer snapped, escorting Tracy and her coworker away. The man who had taken Kennedy's seat was called back off the plane and informed that his boarding had been improperly processed. He stormed off in embarrassment. The gate agent who replaced Tracy apologized profusely, then escorted Kennedy personally onto the plane. But the drama wasn't over. As she settled into her rightful seat, Kennedy pulled out her laptop and typed up a brief executive memo. Seeing the board of Delta, FAA oversight, and several members of the press. She included screenshots of the boarding pass, the video clips that were now going viral on TikTok and Twitter, and added one chilling sentence: "This flight crew and every manager complicit in today's incident is terminated effective immediately." She hit send. The memo went viral before the plane even took off. By the time Flight 77 reached cruising altitude, #CEO in 1A and #BlackWomanFiredCrew were trending globally. Kennedy sipped her champagne in silence as the cabin manager approached nervously, clearly briefed mid-flight. "Ms. Marshall, we sincerely apologize. We had no idea who you were." She glanced up coolly. "That's the problem. You shouldn't need to know who I am to treat me with basic dignity." The attendant nodded, lips pressed. "We're deeply sorry. We've been informed that the gate team has been dismissed, and we've initiated emergency training protocols fleet-wide." Kennedy gave a polite nod but didn't respond. The plane touched down in Heathrow 6 hours later to a swarm of reporters. Kennedy wasn't one to chase cameras, but she walked straight into the flashing lights, stood tall, and gave a single, devastating quote: "Let today be a message to every company, every airline, every gatekeeper in the world. Black women don't need your approval to belong in first class. We built the flight path." The crowd erupted. Her video hit 3 million views by morning. Delta Air issued an official apology and pledged $10 million toward racial bias and staff retraining. But the public wasn't done. Other passengers came forward with similar experiences. Class action lawsuits began surfacing. The FAA announced a full-scale audit into airline discrimination. Kennedy, meanwhile, returned to her office and quietly turned down multiple talk show appearances. Her company's stock rose 12%. Investors hailed her as a cultural icon, but she stayed grounded, focused. Because for her, this was never about going viral. It was about the quiet, unspoken war that people like her fight daily and, finally, winning one. Weeks later, Kennedy received an email from that young black boy's mother, the one who had witnessed it all at Gate 42. "You may not remember us," the message began, "but my son Elijah saw everything. He asked me that night why the lady who looked like mommy was treated like she didn't matter. I told him she did matter. I showed him your interview. Now he wants to be a CEO too. Thank you for giving him someone to look up to." Kennedy wiped away a tear. That message meant more than any press conference or news headline. That little boy had seen what the world tried to deny, that black women could stand tall, fight back, and win. Her company launched a new initiative, First Class Future, a scholarship program for young black students in aviation, technology, and business. Within a month, 200 students had applied. Kennedy's inbox was flooded with thank yous, testimonials, and invitations. One major airline offered her a board seat. Another wanted to partner with her company for data analytics and AI development. But Kennedy made one thing clear in every meeting: "Don't call me a token. Don't parade me for PR. I'm not here for appearances. I'm here to transform the system that lets your staff treat me like baggage." Her voice shook rooms. Her story became curriculum in several business schools, and the words she spoke in that first-class seat, calm, calculated, powerful, echoed long after the turbulence faded.